everybody to the conversation. I have a special guest today. My man, my brother, Poe One.
Peace, man. Thank you. It's an honor, actually. It's an honor for you to even ask me. I was like, oh, for real? Okay, I'm down. I'm up for it.
Yeah, you already know. I'll do this for a reason. There's always a purpose, and the purpose just, use the platform to educate, man, to bring awareness on certain topics that deal with, our Breakin community or hip hop culture overall, So it's great to have somebody like you with a lot of years, with a lot of years behind you, and a lot of wisdom, man, a lot of gems that new generation are using. Instagram platform, YouTube. It ain't like back then, we gotta utilize technology to our advantage, and for me to do this, it's just for more educational, have that conversation, and within the conversation, students of the game can even learn something. I mean, I wish I had something like this when I was coming up, I had to do research, and now it's like, I can go on this live.
You're telling me. Imagine me, fuck, in the 80s. Oh, excuse me, no cussing.
No. Look, on this conversation, we keep it 100, so you can we can talk about everything, bro. But
when I was growing up, it was more like word of mouth, and if a newspaper clipping had something, or if somebody moved from New York to Puerto Rico, or if I moved back to Cali or something like that, it's like, and everything was word of mouth. And so, you saw a flyer or whatever, that was like, that's different from now. Now we have Facebook Live and all these other outlets.
We just got to use the advantage. You can't adapt, you're going to die off, So you got to adapt at the same time, use it for a positive reason. We got to bring that balance to where they seen all these big moves and stuff. It was okay, give them some educational stuff as well. And that's the reason why, I had to do this type of conversation, just to get different perspective. I'm actually going to have Renegade on next week, and I'm going to have Jay Skills on. I'm going to have Lee Rock on, so I'm actually going to have Shaolin Production on to talk about their event, Temple Rock, I think the week leading up to their event, which is like October 13th, I think. So, just variety, promoters, DJ, I really want to one day get like an MC on, right? And just like have them freestyle. Like I'll put an instrumental on.
Kind of like Vlad TV or something.
Yeah, like I want, I'll play instrumental like this, Go ahead, Poe. Bust a freestyle, bro. What's up? Yeah.
Me? What?
Yo, if you wanna hear Poe freestyle, give him some love, y'all. I want to see some love. Let me hear Poe freestyle real fast. Go ahead, Poe. Go ahead. Yo, big shouts to everybody that's joining live right now. We're having fun. We're having a conversation. Oh man, you getting mad love. You gotta bust a freestyle. Oh, do something, Poe. Yeah. What?
Put that beat up. Check it out. What?
They give you mad love. You gotta do this. Oh man, we're gonna be laughing the whole conversation, bro. We gotta chill.
I rock. What's up, brother?
Yeah. Nah, that's we just having fun. But shouts to everybody for coming through. We appreciate it. So tell the people what's good about your backstory, summarize it up, and we'll go from there, Poe. Go ahead, the platform is yours, bro.
All right, well, basically, okay. Well, I started as a strutter first. First, my name is Poe One. I'm a human first. Peace.
Word.
And basically, I started when I was young. It was about 1980. Around that time, when I was strutting, I saw a guy named Mojo when I was in elementary school. And I went to a swimming pool in some apartment complexes down the street from the school, and from Elite's elementary school. And used to like this girl named April. Okay, her name was April, and she had her brother or cousin. His name was Mojo.
Right.
And she said, "Oh, Eddie messes around a little bit with miming and robotic." And he goes, "Oh yeah," and he tried to like go at me at the pool, and I was just a little kid. And he started doing waving and the Cobra style and started doing all these things. And it's the first time I saw it like really advanced live. And so I got into strutting at the age of 10 around there. And then I saw breaking around 1982. I was about 12. Saw my cousin of mine do it. And yeah, then the rest is history. Hip hop culture kind of grabbed me. Anything in the street culture kind of grabbed me. People don't know, actually, before that, I was a real good skater, roller skater. Okay,
That's dope.
I used to roller skate. I used to compete. I used to in Puerto Rico. We used to have a skating rink called Disco Patin. I was roller skating since the age of 5 and I started slowing down at the age of 12. You know, and when breaking took over my life. So I was roller skating, and also in the roller skating rinks, a lot of dancers were there. A lot of dancers doing their thing, and when street dance or culture, whatever you want to call it, hip hop kind of took over. Everyone kind of took it to the roller rinks and anywhere else they can do it. So it just was there. So yeah, so make a long story short, I got into breaking around 82 and kept on going there. And anything that the culture brought, I kind of try to mingle and mess around with. I write. I'm a writer. Off and on. I'm out of practice, but I do hit the walls every now and then with my pieces, which you've seen, Tyquan and a few others seen, you know. Mess with the tables a little bit. Had my own little turntables before, and mess with that a little bit. And, you know, anything that hip-hop was new. So I kind of did everything that it brought. Even rhymed a little bit, believe it or not.
Right.
And, yeah, so just, yeah, that's how I keep going. For those that don't know, I represent Style Elements Monster Squad, BBDs, DSR, Star Child of Rock, a lot of different families, you know, Original Manners, and the list goes on. IB, representing with my boy Sammy. They're about to give me a shirt. You know, used to rock with MZK, as you know. So I've rocked some major, I would say, some major links in the chain in hip hop culture and hip hop history. I've been an honor and privileged to be down with be a part of a lot of great entities out there. And yeah, then I just keep it me, brother. I guess that's me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no
keep
doubt.
it short.
No doubt. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you still a lot of, you know, you my brother, man, and it's nothing. It's just you just, you know, left the house and journey on to your little journey. You know what I'm saying? But it's you always welcome home. You already know what time it is. So and that's the thing. It's like a lot of people thinking like, oh, Poe ain't down no more. So it's like, nah, we good. Like, I you know, you and I know that we keep it personal all the time, you know.
We build on the regular.
Yeah, on the regular. Like, this is like my brother. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sometimes we might agree, you know, and sometimes we might disagree. Sometimes, you know, he yelled at me and I yelled. You know what I'm saying? We family at the end of the day. Like Prevail is saying, we family, you know. So it's nothing. It's not like because you left doesn't mean you're not repping with us no more. You know what I mean? You're like brothers, man. And I know for sure if something happens.
All I know is I keep it, you know, any member, anybody from any past crews to present crews, in or out, anybody's welcome to give me a call anytime and build. And I do the same. I reach out to certain individuals. Like I'm always talking, you know, I'm always trying to build with certain members and trying to hit up, you know, I hit up Prevail. People will just receive random messages from me about once a month. I hope everything's good. How you doing? And the good thing is with this technology nowadays, you know, you got Messenger, you got Facebook, you got Instagram. I mean, you got WhatsApp, all these other ones. There's no reason why somebody cannot just send a text and say, I hope you're doing good. Yeah. So I believe I do that. And I do that with a lot of members that I want to continue to build with. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. So. You know, I think it's important to build and keep those
and with
goals.
technology too, bro. I think people should, if two people, you know how it is in the breaking scene, people like sometimes they debate with each other online on Facebook, trading shots and stuff. Like, yo, why don't y'all just call each other up and just talk about it? Instead of.
For me, you know me, Ty, for a very long time, and I'm not one to go off online. I don't do that, and mostly in writing, because I feel writing can be misinterpreted. Mostly, if the individual is heated and reading it, every word will be feeling like a shot. And for me, I think it's very important people have a communication and a conversation live, because the tone of voice will determine how the actual person actually meant that word.
Right.
And by the tone, you actually know how the conversation really is.
Yeah.
So, for me, all the people that are arguing online and giving their opinion and stuff, that's all fine. You have the right to do whatever you want. But record a video, actually. Record your face saying it, and maybe what you're trying to say might come across in a whole different light by the way you're saying it. And people will actually comprehend and understand a little bit more clear or understand the situation. So I feel like utilize the technology and all that in a proper way. And if there is a misunderstanding, if you wrote something and somebody does misunderstand, then record it verbally right away. So the misunderstanding could be cured and healed right away. And if it's healed, then don't hold on to the grudge anymore. Let it out. Like if it's healed, then let it go. Because I realized, that I kind of don't look at you. You barely see me on Facebook or anything. Like I'll sign on each day, but I keep it at 15 minutes minimum, bro. Like nowadays, I just post what I'm going to post, a funk song, and which I call Daily Dose. I've been putting up posts called Daily Dose. And it's just something that I want people to listen to the lyrics to. And that's the message I'm trying to come across, and I'm out. I answer my emails, and I'm out.
Right.
I can't stay hours and listening to the bickering and stuff like that anymore, because it can be very draining. You know what I mean? It could be very draining, and I feel that we have to help the community. We have to do stuff like what you're doing now, and and people like the trades. People like Paul Ski, Paul Ski, with his mental health thing that he pushes out and doing events and working with, kids at schools and, the Each One Teach One and always the student projects and all this stuff. I think it's very important to be out there in the communities doing it, even though people don't see it. And then opportunities like this, when people see it, I think that's where we should go and kind of try to end all the bickering and stuff like that, and talk about it live and just be like, okay, let's have this. We could agree to disagree, or we can agree and move on in a beautiful way. You know what I'm saying? And I think my view on it is like sometimes our culture that we live in and certain people, some people don't want to let go so much of the past. And we need the past to move forward, and we need the past to highlight everybody that came before us and to show love. But sometimes I've realized some people bring in their beast from the past and the attitude of how they handled it back then. And I feel like, I say, okay, the only way to move forward is by moving forward. You know what I mean? And we learn from the mistake, but if we continue to keep making the same mistake, then it's not really learning. You know what I mean?
I'm about to get deep here.
We begin stagnant. We kind of get stagnant. And I feel like there's certain ways to approach things, and how to articulate something, how to approach it. And it's very important that we, as adults now, not kids, we hold on to grudges that we had when we were 13 years old.
Bro.
And we're at my age now, 48, and I have a grudge that I was 13 years old. then something's wrong mentally and physically, and
So stop right there. You just said something very important. That's why I said earlier I'm about to get deep here, right? You just said about mentally, right?
Yeah, man.
And I feel like a lot of our elders, they came from the struggle. We all came from the struggle, right? We
all have our struggles.
Like we all came from that, and there's some type of trauma, right? We have mental health issue coming from that environment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like it carried with us, and it's up to us to like look in the mirror and say, "Yo, you gotta make a difference here, man. It's only you who's gotta make the difference." And honestly, Poe, you know me, I was like that, right? I was very like, yo, nah, man, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's what I'm used to. You know what I'm saying? Like that, and it's part of me psychologically. Like, I'm always like on the edge, but that's how it is where I came from. You know, street life, you know, that is embedded in us. And so we take that with us in our journey, you know, and some people don't realize that they're the problem, you know. They try to blame other people, right, for their mishaps or shortcomings, instead of looking in the mirror. It's like, damn, I gotta break that cycle, you know. I'm the one who's gotta break that cycle, and that's and for me it was a hard process. I'm not gonna front. It was very hard. Right? I was wilding out, you know what I'm saying? But it was very hard to say, yo, you doing it wrong. You know? And that's when you accept that you're the one who's fucking up. That's the hardest thing to swallow. You get what I'm trying to say? That's the hardest thing to swallow, is when you look in the mirror and say, damn, yo, like you're fucking up. Don't go that path, you know, and why you got to go with all these animosity and that, because we so used to that, right? We're so not trained, but that's how we grew up, yo. And you know how it is, Poe. When you come up from the struggle, it's like you get this, that, and the third from the streets, and it just follow you, you know. And I feel like that animosity and insecurities, you know, we all have that, right? Coming from the struggle, bro. Let's be honest here. And that's why B-boy is so great. B-boy is so great because it kind of hide those animosity, insecurities, right? Because it's like you go in the gym, it's like, yo, you kind of like become a different person, you know, to mask that insecurity and animosity, right? Certain old heads is still on that same bullshit, is because they don't, the real them come out. Right? The insecurity, the animosity, they can't mask that no more, right? And so when
it's also, can I say something? I'm gonna build on that. Prevail actually asked a great question. He asked two questions. He said, his question was, if being a minority in America, if it's difficult, and then he asked the second question, or do we oppress ourselves? And I'm gonna tell you a little story. I'm light-skinned. I'm light-skinned Puerto Rican and Bolivian. My sister's dark-skinned. She's as dark as Ness. You know what I'm saying? My father's dark. My mother's light. My dad's from Bolivia. My mother's from Puerto Rico. I'm half-half. But most people will call me Canito in Puerto Rico because I'm light-skinned. I got hazel eyes. So my name is Edmundo Miguel Loaiza Figueroa Jr. III. All right? I remember, I could go back when I was a little kid, okay? When I was in kindergarten. I was 6 years old. I remember getting teased in school because the teacher could not pronounce my last name. Okay. So she was like, Louisa, whatever. And she goes, what kind of name is that? And she made the other kids laugh in class. So it made me cry. At 5, 6 years old, when you're in kindergarten, it made me cry. And I went home and I asked my mother if she can change my name. You know what I'm saying? And this is for Prevail. To answer his question, I'm going to make a little story about it, my experience when, because being from America and being Latino in America. I remember going home. My mother told me, you know what? You should be proud of your name. You come from a heritage. You come from a background. And I was like, all right, then why did the teacher say this? And my mother said, is that why you want to change your name? And I said, yeah. She was okay. And tomorrow I'm going to school with you. She took me to school, and not on the bus. She took me to school by my hand, walked into the classroom, and let the teacher have it. Told the teacher, if you ever make fun of my son in front of the class or you're going to have a talk with me.
Right.
You know? And it was the first time I kind of saw like my mother kind of really angry and direct, because she's like an angel, you know? But I realized that at that time, I realized, like, I guess I'm a little bit different. I guess I'm different. But I didn't feel different. I'm human, you know? But in those days, it was still 70s. It was 1976, you know? And even till today, 2018, you know, with all the racism that's happening, it still exists. But in those days, you know, there was still sort of like, you know, well, nothing's changed even now, because kids are probably going through the same thing. But there was a lot more integration. There's a lot more integration now. Before, it was a little bit different. Like, we were the only Latins on a certain block when we moved out, and you know, then then on another block we were mixed with, you know, Filipinos, blacks, and everybody, and Mexicans. And then when we moved again, you know, because we moved around. So I felt, to be honest, being a minority, which I don't think, because we're majority, just that word alone I feel is discriminating. I feel being Latino in America wasn't easy, and it's still not easy. I think of being of color in any race or color, I don't think it's that easy. But I think because of those past days and being teased and stuff when I was younger, it made me, in my teenage years, a little bit rebellious. But also that rebellious kind of oppressed me in a way, because it was a self-destructing attitude that I had, because of the way I was treated when I was younger. I fought back with being rebellious, but it also, being rebellious in the wrong way, got me into a lot of trouble. Right. You know, so I was kind of oppressing myself in a way, and not realizing the damage I was doing in the long run, that I could be doing to myself by the way I was acting and behaving. Mm-hmm. You know? And so I'm answering Prevail's question. So I feel that if something's going wrong in your life and you know a solution how to fix it, and you ain't doing that solution and you ain't sticking with it because it's too hard of work, or you don't want to put the work in, then you're oppressing yourself.
Right.
You understand what I mean? And you're holding that light back. Because I say this a lot in my workshops. I'm going to say it now, live. We're born of light. They say we're born of light. We're particles of light all put together. Why the hell would you want to hold that light back from shining? Why the hell would you not want the world to see what true light you are? Mm-hmm. Why are we so afraid to show that light out? It's because we're oppressing ourselves. We're afraid of looking ridiculous. We're afraid of fear. We're afraid of many things. We cover up ourselves with masks. We cover up ourselves with a lot of things. And I feel that is holding our light back. And we should shine, because throughout all that holding back, we've created something like hip hop so beautiful.
Right, right.
But it was because, to be honest, it was because kids they still had that light, and it was created by kids.
Right.
Okay? Now we're adults. We should not hold that light back. Mm-hmm. As adults, we continue to make it shine and make these kids shine and make them learn from our mistakes, you know, right. and not glorify our mistakes. It's like, I've been, I got a crack here, okay. A bat to the dome fighting. It's like, I don't need to glorify that. I've done my time. I don't need to glorify that. It's like, for me, if I continue to do that, I'm not setting a good example for my people. I might be putting them in a route that will be I don't want them to feel or experience what I experienced. They have to do what they're going to do in their life and experience what they're going to experience. But if I can avoid them from messing with heroin, if I can avoid them with messing with certain drugs that are bad for your damn health, you know, if I can mess with, you know, if I can keep them off that corner, then, and use this outlet that we're using, then I'm going to do it. If I can motivate them to spend 6 hours, 7 hours in their garage or wherever they train, wherever they sneak into a schoolyard when it's closed and they jump the fence and use the hallways, you know, which I used to do as a kid. Like, if I can have them spend those 6, 7 hours and not those 6, 7 hours on a corner doing dirt, then I'm trying to share that light. You know, I'm sharing that light that I feel that would help them. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you're doing, Ty, and that's what many members are doing. And I feel it's very important to create that shift. Like, you know, like in hip hop, I love hip hop culture. It's given me so much. I want kids to get out of hip hop what hip hop gave me. Mm-hmm. You know, but there's a lot that we have to learn as individuals, as people, as responsible people. It's like what you touched on a little while ago. We have to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, I'm to blame for the situation in my life at this moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, I'm at this moment to blame. You know, and that's where sometimes, yeah, you know, excuse me for this language, you do got assholes out there, and they are to blame for certain things.
Right.
But as you as an individual, I as an individual have the choice on how we're going to take that lesson that we learned from that asshole.
Right.
How are we going to take that lesson and how are we going to make it better and for ourselves? Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, and that's where I kind of, at a 48 years young man, I feel that I have to I've held myself back many times in life. Mm-hmm. And from shining. And what I mean by shining is, you know, small example, everybody's going off. And I'm going to tell you a story that Juice Boogie told me a long time ago about myself. And also Bounce said it to me as well. Later on, many years later, at Freestyle session, Juice, we were all going off in the circle. And I like to stay in the back. While you guys are dancing, I like to stay in the back and watch. And when the song is right, that moment is right, my fear is gone, or whatever, I'll jump in and do my thing and go off and out again, and I leave. I remember Juice telling me once, Juice Boogie from Massive Monkeys telling me, yo, man, it's funny, you rarely go in, and this was back, you know, I'm talking about, you know, 2000, 99, 2000, goes, you rarely go in, but when you go in, you make it count, and you make everybody just bug out, wanting more, but you leave. You kind of just go and hang out and sit with other people and talk and mingle. And he goes, that's crazy, you know. He goes, because you leave such an impact. And then Bounce said the same thing to me. Mm-hmm. Bounce said, Poe, you like to stay in the back, and you like to, you know, even though your name's out there, you're popular, you do just showcase, whatever. He goes, you still like to stay in the back. Mm-hmm. He goes, and you still go in every now and then, and you leave. And you know me, Ty, like we go to a jam, I do a couple hours if I'm not judging or whatever, and then I'm on. You're like, where the hell is Poe? And I'm doing my wandering stuff. I leave and I go see a museum or whatever. Right. You know, like I feel that my point is, what I'm trying to make is, those times that I was in those circles, I went in when the right moment was for me. But also there was a lot of times that I should have went in, but I was scared to. I was scared to shine. You understand what I mean? And that's how come I respect brothers like you. I respect brothers like Phantom. I respect brothers like Kenny, Ivan, Flea Rock, Venom, like the old and new guys, old and new. It's because they're able to turn on a switch and just go off. Mm-hmm. And that's a beautiful thing to see and experience. And for me, it's very spiritual. And then maybe about 10 years ago, I've been living in Australia almost 10 years. December this year will be 10 years already.
Time flies.
I remember about Yeah, time flies, brother. I think maybe about 11 years ago, or maybe 12, I told myself, I looked at myself in the mirror and I did an affirmation and I said, Poe, let your light out, man. Stop being afraid. Stop being safe with yourself, and show the world your flaws, your strong points, and your light.
Right, right.
And ever since then, I told myself, now or never, because I ain't getting any younger. I'm getting younger at heart and spirit, but I mean, my age ain't getting any younger. I told myself, I got to do it now. I got to show, I want to show who I am to the world now. You know what I'm saying? And I've never held back after that. And all the footage you see me now, be it good or bad, it's my 100% for that day, and it's my 100% pure honesty for that day. You know what I mean? And I feel the only person that could unlock that, you know, of course there's inspirations out there, but the only person that can really unlock that is you. You know your fear. You know what's inside. So, you know, I had to unlock that and get busy, you know, and I haven't held back since,
And
man.
for you,
and anytime I feel any,
and for you, that's a way for you to cope, right? And that kind of
man,
help your mental healthness as well, right? And for me, I feel like that's a way for all of us to cope, right? It's this dance helped us in a way to be more positive, you know, coming from the struggle and all that. It was a way for me personally. It was a way for me to cope. You know, before I got into Breakin, football was a way for me to cope. You know, to get away from the streets. You know what I'm saying? I got into sport, and a lot of my crew from my street family, you know, play football as well. You know, but with football, we had to, like, you know, stay. You know, in order to play, we got to have a certain GPA. We got to be stand-up dudes, or else we won't play. And for us, that was our way of disciplining ourselves, right? To get away from that.
Brother, we need to do that. Mm-hmm. That's actually a point that we should bring to light. We should, for people to learn, we honestly need to tell them, yo, if you want to play, then you need to behave this way and this way. Not behave like no big rules or anything, but you know, it's like you said, your coach. If you were late to training, you know what I'm saying? You were sitting on the bench,
right,
to teach you.
Right.
You know,
right.
I think hip hop. We need to start checking cats and really check cats that are out of lane, and really that will teach them how to look at themselves and be like, all right, I'm on the bench because I did this, and not because somebody else, or, you know, so many hip hop cats, like, you know, when I do jams, I gotta lie of what time the battle actually starts. If I want cat at 2:00 there, and I put on the flyer, if I put 2:00, they're getting there at 2:45, and when they get there, they don't even get into the building. They roll a joint outside and they start smoking, and then they come in and they're not even ready. So it's like what I put on my jams and even on my workshops. Then this is going to mess me up in front of everybody because they're going to know it's not the specific time now. But I use reverse psychology.
Everybody does that.
Yeah, what I do, in my events like Freestyle Session Australia, I just did it. I put 2:00, 2 p.m. on the flyer, battle starts. But on the flyer, I didn't put that. I put 1. You understand what I mean? I put 1, and people were still arriving at 2, bro. You know what I mean? It's like, and there was a lot that arrived on time, actually, in 1:15, 1:20. But if we would have had to start at 1, that would have delayed everything. And the outcome of that is, if you stay longer in the venue, you might get kicked out or get charged extra money. You understand what I mean? So people don't know the repercussions, the struggle that it takes to be reliable and be responsible, man. You know, it's not hard to be on time. Don't blame your homeboy. Said, oh, I had to pick up my homeboy. He wasn't ready. Nah, it's your fault, man.
Right.
You know, nobody made you late. It's your fault. Leave the dude.
Right.
You know, it's like, yeah, your boy's gonna get mad and say, you're an ass, you're a sellout, you left me, and this, that. It's like,
he can take an
sooner
Uber.
or later, yeah, take an Uber. Sooner or later, they're gonna have to look in the mirror and be, 10, 15 years, 20 years later, they're gonna look at you and say, you know what, man, you were hard on me, but you were truthful with me,
Right?
And you were right. I was the one always being late. I was the one doing this. They might be mad at the beginning, but to be honest, if people don't take their own responsibility,
You gotta have discipline. And that's and like I was saying, football was a way for me and my peoples at the time, me and my brothers coming from the street. It was a way for us to be disciplined and not, go crazy. I mean, after football, the street kind of grabbed me back, and then I transitioned to the Breakin. And then that's when I start, like, oh shit, when I saw K-Mel, back in B-Boy 799. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know. Because honestly, I thought breaking was corny back then. You know what I mean? Like, when we was coming up, we was like, yo, breakdancing, that shit is corny. I didn't see the rawness, right? I didn't see that rawness coming from the so-called, at the time, breakdancers that I saw. You know what I mean? On videos, what have you. But when I saw that raw energy, I'm like, damn, this is some shit, And so from that day on, I start, getting to breaking, and it taught me a lot. Breaking became like a way for me to cope. So yeah, I mean, I feel like breaking is a way for us to cope with our mental health, But at the end of the day, though, it's just a cope mechanism. You gotta be the one who make that change. You gotta be the one who make that choice to grow up on that personal development, self-growth, and so I feel like a lot of our elders, they came from that struggle. They got into breaking, but then they just so warmed up, they don't know how to move forward. They just keep the animosity. They kept the insecurities and it become a habit.
They haven't grown up, man.
It becomes a habit, right? A habit.
Yeah, man.
They're not self-disciplined enough, and that's how they're gonna be all the time. And like I was talking to Daisy, I was talking to baby girl yesterday, that we gotta be the generation to. I'm not talking about your generation. I'm talking about my generation. That we gotta be the one who break that cycle of that self-hate, and start just, you can't agree to, we can all agree to disagree, but do it in a professional approach way. And you can still support those people, and that people can still support you, but why not go that route instead of just always, you know how it is, this, that, and the third, after the dance battle, like, there's no point of that.
There's no point of that. Like, to me, I want to be also, like, because the way I feel is like, maybe when you say, like, let's say, for instance, you're the generation that you want to do that. I feel I need to be the example as well as an older generation. I need to also be an example. Mm-hmm. I need to be a proper example. If I think I'm not doing such a bad job sometimes. Mm-hmm. I don't like to toot my own horn because I don't do that. You never see me post online or anything like, yo, I'm the shit or whatever. I'm not that kind of person. But I will say I am trying my hardest to be a good example. And I think by being myself always 100% first, I've been able to be live right now on IG with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I think opportunities have been opening up more and more doors and stuff because I guess, the reliability, the responsibility, easy to talk to, easy to build with, try to come up with a solution quick and move forward. It's like, to me, it's more like, yo, let's, how can it work? How can we make it work? How can this, that, like, dead it, it's like dead the situation. And for me, that's what I'm trying to say is, I'm trying to build also your generation that's trying to make that change. Mm-hmm. I'm with you, and I got your back 100% to try to do that.
Right.
It takes a lot of energy. It will, because there's going to be a lot of bipolar MFs over there. There's going to be a lot of bipolar cats flipping the script. And who the hell are you think you are doing what you're doing and blah, blah, blah. But to be honest, those that stay, those that don't. It's all good. You know what I mean? It's like we do it because we love to do it.
Yo, shout to Stilo. Stilo,
te quiero mucho.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing with Stilo in the building, right? And that's the thing is I'm giving a perfect example here.
That's my first protege, right?
Here's some perfect example that Stilo is. Remember, Stilo we used to go to war with California, and you know how that is. So with Zulu Kings in California, you know what it is, Stilo. Like we used to. But I'm not gonna hold that grudge on to today and be like, "Yo, what? Stilo's in this joint?" Nah, I can't fuck with Stilo. We used to be like, "Nah, man." Like,
and it's only dancing.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like a lot of our elders are on that tip. And I feel like their examples feed off, for younger generation, and the younger generation is gonna come up that way. Like, if I have rivalries and this, certain beef with somebody, I'm gonna hold that grudge in forever in my journey, and they forever is gonna repeat that same cycle. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But I'm glad Stilo came in. We had crazy rivalries. You know what I'm saying? Between California and Zulu Kings, but we can move forward. As brothers.
It's like how Crazy Legs used to have that jam called Frenemies.
Mm-hmm.
Frenemies. We still friends, but we hit the circle. You have a few enemies for just a little while, then afterwards we go eat together, after the jam. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so it's like...
Prevail be fun, bro.
Prevail. But Prevail, they're wearing do-rags. You know why? It's just to get their waves, bro. They're not wearing do-rags because they're still B-boys. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted, man. You won't know because you're almost bald.
Oh man. But
but check it out. That's a good conversation, man. That's a real good conversation. Like, so what can we do for solutions? Like for me, like, solutions is all what it's about. Like, and putting those solutions in effect.
I think the best solution is to say, for a brother like you, you saying you want to be an example. I think you should be lead by example by, reach out to these old heads, man. I'm sure we all know the ones that's nagging all the time. Talk to them like, you gotta be a better example. You can disagree, what have you, but there's another approach instead of nagging on. And I know for a brother like you, it's like, I don't want to get into that type of stuff. But if you want to make changes, Poe, you got to be that revolutionary type dude to take action, because I'm sure they're not going to listen to me or somebody like from the younger generation, because that's how they are, right? But if they talk to somebody that's like in your age range, and how to use your words, you know what I'm saying, to kind of inspire them, motivate them, keep the peace. That's why we call you the chaplain, you know what I mean? And I feel like that would be the solution instead of just ignoring it, because ignoring it will just continue that cycle, man. And in a way, we're not helping their mental health, We just like, we don't care. We're like, that's all them. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like there's mental health issues with these brothers. I'm gonna be honest. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. Like, the way they are, how they are, is because they came from that struggle, but they don't know how to break out to grow. Like exactly. You and I and Phantom. Like, Phantom used to be on some other shit. He from the Bronx. Like, he, but
Yeah, but you know,
he's a different person now, right? He grow as a person, right? He don't keep
the thing about Phantom. Let me say one thing about Phantom. What I noticed that Phantom's always been a focused brother.
Mm-hmm.
He's always been focused. He's always listened and knew the right or wrong. You know, yeah, everybody can have their moments and we get hyped and we talk and we say what we're gonna say, you know, and on the rah tip. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone goes through those moments, but, and I'm not saying that of Phantom, I'm just saying this in general. What I've always noticed about Phantom, he's always had a great head on his shoulders, and he's always walked up to people older than him with mad respect and mad talk. And he holds his own. Like he's always held a job, even when he didn't have a job. He's dedicated. He sticks with something, and he's dedicated, and he has no complaints. He knows if he needs something in his life, he goes out and get it without stepping on anybody else getting it. Mm-hmm. Phantom is a real focused brother, and when he had his kid, even more. You know what I mean? And he really shows that lineage. Like I got the utmost respect for him on what he's doing, because I see every single person that came before him in his dance. I see from Icy Ice to Ness to, you know, just the list goes on, to Clarky, to Luce, to, you know, Kenny, to I see Fable, I see Wiggles, I see so much lineage when he gets down, that he's a true student of this culture from all boroughs. Yes, he's from the Bronx, but I see so many different boroughs, and I see Burn One in him. You know, people that are not from the Bronx, I see so much in him that he is a student. Like Crazy Legs said in an interview a long time ago, and I think 94, Crazy Legs said,
yo, you breaking up,
and,
there you go.
Do you hear me now? You got
me? Yeah.
You know, Crazy Legs said a long time ago, they asked him, okay, where'd you guys learn this? And he goes, well, we learn from the streets, and the streets learn from us. Basically, we are prodigies of that. We are prodigies of all that. We learn from the streets, and the streets learn from us. And nothing has changed. Bottom line, nothing has changed since then. And what I love about Phantom is he keeps his eye to the street, but he's able to go home to his wife and kid and make it work.
Right.
On an adult level, as an adult man. You the same.
Right.
You know, you're the same in the aspect of, 1 second, I got to get the charger. You know, you're the same. You handle your business. You're in Florida, you know, because you're making sure your wife meets her goals, reaches her goals that she wants to reach. You sacrifice things on your own life because you have your special someone, and you know this is a sacrifice you need to do. You've been making your time with her and making all the time in the shift that you've done in the year or so or months or so. The shift you've done with MZK lifestyle and worldwide is very admirable. What you're doing to shift the energy, you know, to really shift people's mind state from some say good things, some say bad things, and really take all into consideration and create an outlet and work with that outlet and make it possible through the sacrifice of handling your wife and the studies and the family and your work. To deal with the childish behaviors of our scenes sometimes coming from adults. To me, that's very admirable, man. And I see Phantom in you and other people that have their heads on the right place. To me, that's a beautiful thing. You know, and when I look at that, I always say to myself, I don't need to post it or anything, but I say it live here on you. I always say to myself, the streets, hip-hop culture, and people that are not from the street that live hip-hop culture, they're in good hands with brothers like you guys. Because the tradition will be carried. The tradition will be carried in a beautiful way, but also not forced down people's throat, and not trying to say this is the only way or this, that. You guys are very broad-minded, open-minded youth. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people out there and that can learn a lot.
No doubt, Poe, and thank you for that. You know, but it's an honor hearing that from you. And it comes back to that whole mental health, you know, is that yo, I had to just grow the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. That's the only way. I'm sure Phantom can say the same thing. He got to grow the fuck up. Stop on that street mentality, you know, of where we came from. A lot of us came from that, and a lot of trauma that built up psychologically within us. You know what I'm saying? So, and it just kept on with us. And you know, sometimes you just got to just say, "Yo, grow the fuck up." You know what I'm saying? To yourself.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, that's the hardest, you know, shit to swallow, man, is when you realize, like, yo, you gotta grow the fuck up and stop all that bullshit.
It's like, there comes a time in one's life that, you know, you realize, like, you know, this hip hop culture is supposed to be a release. It's supposed to be a release for you.
Right.
You're supposed to let out what you need to let out without having to do what these stupid idiots are doing, shooting schools and other things, you know? It's like, imagine, you know, if we didn't have this release, you know, a lot of us, like if I didn't have this release, you know, I would have been in a bad situation unless I would have got knocked in the head a couple times,
right,
to knock some sense in. You know what I'm saying? My mother kept me out of trouble. The streets kept me out of trouble. And what I mean by that is the knuckleheads that were around me were saying, "Yo, little man, don't do this."
Yo, Poe, this live session is gonna end. I'm gonna add, because Instagram only let us go live for an hour. I'm gonna go back live and I'm gonna re-add you. All right? Yo,
boom, we are back. What's the deal?
Back in action.
Okay, check it out. Oh, Crazy Legs in the building. What's the deal?
Yo, Legs up. OG. What's poppin'?
All right. What's that saying?
I'm actually gonna have Legs in the future, man.
That's gonna.
So we were talking about old heads, how they gotta grow up, you know.
Check it out. So what I was saying is, because I completely fell off track. We're having to reboot this. I think, I think just cats need to take responsibility on their own actions and be able to you know how it is, be able to progress, let the youth be youth, let the youth, I call it Project Kids Take Back Hip Hop, you know what I'm saying? Like, let the kids enjoy what we still enjoy, let the kids still enjoy it. Don't take the fun out of it. Or, also, like, people always complaining about competitions and blah, 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 and, they need to keep it raw and blah, 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 and this, that, and raw. But, I think everything has its place. Everything has its purpose. I think what people seem to forget is I seem to have good times at jams when I go. There's people that I read things online and say, "Yo, that jam was whack, it wasn't even good. I just, the comps weren't even that good." And I'm kind of like, well, what were you doing? I kind of tell myself, well, what were you doing? Were you sitting around waiting for something to happen? Or were you making something happen? Like when I go to a jam, if I'm not judging, I'm dancing. I'm having a good time with certain people. I'm walking around. I'm socializing. For me, what people seem to forget that an event organized by somebody, be it in a park, be it in a community center, be it, a huge organization, no matter what, people seem to forget that is a safe haven to be. It's a beautiful, safe place for our kids and the youth and us to be at that moment, to be in a safe place. It's a safe place. It's like that we can everybody share the passion that they do. And people are kind of forgetting that. People are kind of, they spend so much time like, oh, the music was whack, this was whack. And then I'm kind of like, wait a minute, I had a great time, It's like, yeah, it has, there's a few things that I would change if I threw a jam. And then what I do is when I throw a jam, I make sure I don't do those mistakes. But I don't go online complaining and saying it was completely whack or this, that, because people will misinterpret that. What I try to do is I just say, well, I had a good time. I got to rock the circle. Like freestyle session, my memorable moment. I have 3 memorable moments. One is the judging, of course, front row seat. You're on the hot seat, and you get to see all the battles live, front row. I get front rows in every damn battle I judge, so I don't complain about that. I get to see the up and coming talent. Second most memorable thing for me at freestyle session last year when I was there was rocking with you. When we were all rocking, just rocking on the line. You know what I mean? So come on.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then, we had 777, Kamikaze on one side. We had Katsu sitting down watching us. You guys were all dressed in white.
Vic was in there.
Yeah, Vix was there, and you just said, come on, Poe, let yourself a little loose, let your shoulders up, relax it, don't move so much, just do this. And it was fun because for me, it was like a learning session. And it was vibing with one of my brothers that I haven't seen in a long time. And even though we don't rep the same name, we still family. We still the same. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And that was a memorable moment for me. And then the third was rocking the circle with Flowmaster on the corner. It was Sapa, Flowmaster, a few others, a few others that were in that circle. And we rocked for 45 minutes straight. And I would say the ghost was there. The ghost was there in a beautiful way. It was very spiritual for me. Those 3 things are dope. But then I have other people that talk to me and say, oh, Poe, I was at freestyle session. Oh, it wasn't what I thought. Like in the videos, it was my first time there. And they're complaining. And I'm kind of like,
wow.
And I'm kind of like, yo, did you dance? I said, oh, no, I kind of watched a little bit. But I was waiting for the battles to start. And I'm kind of, yo, dog, like you practice all year to come and watch.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I realize that people sometimes complain just to complain. And I'm kind of like, look at yourself, brother. What did you do to make it fun for you? You know what I mean? And so if I go to a party, I try to make the best of it. If I go to an organized competition, I try to make the best of it. Like I try to tell people like, yo, it's a safe place to be, man. It's like, don't forget that. You're able to take your family and your kids and nothing's going to pop off in the wrong way. It's not 100% guaranteed, but 99% of the time, nothing bad's going to pop off because everybody will step in to stop that shit. You know what I mean? It's like, and if it does pop off, then have somebody go outside and do their thing. But in reality, it's a safe place. It's a safe place to be, is my point. And people seem to overlook that because they're so focused on the complaint part of hip hop, and I'm kind of like, and it's kind of like Brother Stretch, Buddha Stretch was saying a few months back that we use so many words that we don't realize how powerful those words can be. But there are words that are not so positive. Like, I'm down, or you know what I mean, or I'm this, or I'm that. We know what it means. Like, I'm down. It's like, yeah, I'm down with you, me and your brothers. But in reality, if you really dig deep, it's like, let me see you get busy.
It has a negative connotation.
Exactly, a negative. Even though we flip it into a positive, it's still there. It still has a little weight. So, in reality, the words are very powerful. So we have to take a complete shift in that mentality on how to really uplift. We all are about peace, unity, love, and having fun, the motto. But for some reason, we seem to use the words and not really. It becomes such a cliche to say and concentrated and watered down that they begin to forget the real meaning of those words. Like, I live by those words. I try to live by those words. Yes, I'm human and I have my limits, and every now and then I got to step up, and set some things straight, face to face. But I try to have a rational, reasonable conversation with anybody to try to fix something before it escalates to the point that we seem to escalate quick to. You know what I mean? It's like, we have to change that. And that's not, some people might say, oh, that's soft or this, that. It's like, nah, man, it's an intelligent human way of thinking. A lion just doesn't attack his mates or the cubs every single time. The lion, when it's going to set an example, steps up when it needs to set the example. The lion doesn't always be growling all the time,
Right.
It's like, it's not always like that. It shouldn't always be like that, because then people will shut the door on us. If we're constantly yelling or something, they shut the door on us. And that's when we might be making really good points and valid points, but they will be overlooked because nobody wants to listen anymore because of our delivery on how we handle things. And I think it's very important to look at ourselves, like we said earlier, in the conversation. We need to look at ourselves, and we need to learn to articulate, and we need to learn to shift these negative words that we use and shift all that and uplift these future people, that's going to be involved in this culture without them losing the rawness, the realness of being self, but also knowing that they don't have to be artificial about it, in the aspect of, if they ain't about that life, then don't act like it. You understand what I mean? It's like, I know a lot of cats that got down with certain crews. I won't mention names or anything, but just an example so is like, they were calm suburban kids from the suburbs, or from a certain part of Europe or certain part of the world that, they might have certain struggles emotionally, that something might have happened in their lives and stuff like that, but they ain't from the ghetto. You understand what I mean? And they haven't lived there, but because they get certain titles, they start acting like it, and they start changing because they're rolling with a certain individual or something. And to me, it's kind of like, that's being more fake than anything. And that's when we should check somebody and say, yo, be yourself, be yourself. You haven't really lived that life. There's no reason to live that life now. You know what I'm saying? Because if the life
for us, we try to get away from that.
Exactly. That's what it's about. For me, is like, how am I going to keep the electricity on in my house? You know what I mean? It's like, how am I going to keep food in my refrigerator? Without stepping on nobody, without, like, in an honest way. It's like, yes, we all had struggles. I've done my dirt when I was younger. But in reality, I can't be making those same mistakes. I can't. Mostly at my age now, like, they give brothers time, for stupidity. It's like, and I wouldn't want that on anybody. I don't want anybody to feel or go through anything that they shouldn't have to go through. I know brothers out there that are good brothers, and they make rent and they have good jobs, but on the side they try to portray as wild people, and just for the scene's sake. And for me, I look at it and I'm like, for me, it's like, wow, I don't care how hard you act, you're actually fake to me, because I see right through that shit, because I know exactly how you live. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's what's happening with the scene. Some things in the scene, it's like, people are losing the text of losing their morality, the morals, the proper morals of how to behave and how to act towards somebody else. Just the common courtesy of being a human on this planet. It's like, I don't care how dope you are. Right. I don't care how dope you are. You got my respect. But if you're not good as a human, then you lost it with me. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole thing. It's like, for me, it's like, I think we should set an example, because, yo, Pollo, love you, bro.
They be clowning in the comments, man. They've been clowning.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
That's how come Pollo lives in the suburbs in Australia.
Right. I mean, it's great that we went deep, right? That's the whole point of this conversation is to break out, from the usual, what is b-boy, what is this, but really talk about things that can elevate the next generation. Once they see this, right, they're gonna be like, wow, hold up. I look up to certain OGs and they taught me this way, but wait, Tyquan and Poe, they came from that too, but how come they're different people now? And so that's the whole point for me is to bring that awareness on an educational level. Even brothers that's in this chat room that might be on that's still like a cat like Poyo. He came from the Bronx. He came from the streets. You know what I'm saying? To hear something like in a conversation with me and you, that kind of like maybe changed his mindset. Like, wait, I got to do the same as well. You know what I mean? And for me, I feel like it's very important to have these conversations to switch that mindset of, yeah, you can be, you can have those rivals on a battlefield, right? There's nothing wrong with competitive drive, because, you look at football, basketball, what have you, everybody that have that competitive drive, but they leave it there, right? They leave it on within their basketball court, football field. Same thing with breaking. We should leave everything on the dance floor. After that, show sportsmanship. That's what we lacking today is sportsmanship, and that's one thing that football taught me was sportsmanship. Right? It's like, yo, we go hard. Like, we be talking shit before going to the game, like the two squad, like. But after that, you gotta shake that hand. You gotta say, yo, man,
even
it
on
was
the line,
dope
bro.
going to war with you.
Even on the line, like when the quarterback's ready and we're on that line, huddled up, you're taking your man and we talk shit to each other. I played, you know what I mean? And I'll say, yo, I'm about to destroy you. You know what I mean? It's like...
Right.
It's all...
But that's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with being competitive within breaking. Yeah, have those rivalries. Be raw, you know what I'm saying? And show that competitive aspect as a b-boy, because at the end of the day, we got to go off, or else it's missing the essence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we got to balance it out by not being. We can't be competitive outside the dance floor. Like what's the point?
Yeah.
We got to build. Look, like you got to build.
To grow, I think it's like Frosty Free says, right? Like competition is tradition. I think, we need to compete and stuff like that. And because this wasn't being taught, in those days and when I was growing up, I never went to a studio to learn. You know what I mean? I remember the first time I went to a studio at an older age, like when I got back into breaking in the 90s, when I went to my first dance studio to dance, like breaking, I was like, wow, the floor is so dope. You know what I mean? It's like, people need to realize, like, the whole, it's just, I don't know. I could go on and on. Hold on, let me take this. This is telling me I have low charge. Hold on. Can you hear me good?
Yo, peace, Stilo said, yo, this talk is official. Peace out. Yo, thanks for joining, Stilo. I'll probably upload the rest on YouTube, so you can catch it once it's released. Yo, one of the question from our followers, they're saying, or aka supporters, they're saying b-boys who only throw sets, are they killing the game? What's your opinion on that?
My opinion. Okay. Look, some of the dopest b-boys I know have sets and freestyle in between. Ken Swift is one of them.
Right.
Storm is another one.
Exactly.
For me, it's not killing the game, but I will say this. It's killing you from being free to a certain point. You know what I mean? It's like, and what I mean by that is you should let mistakes happen. You should let mistakes happen because this dance was created by mistakes. A bunch of kids not trained in dance, but they're funky. They have social dancing. They come from family of dancers. They see some on TV, you know. But when I was little, I'm not trained in dancing, but my mother baila salsa, my dad danced salsa. You know, they hustled. We had parties at the house. But when I saw breaking, anything that looked, I was a roller skater, like I said at the beginning. So we were dancing hustle on roller skates, and we were rexing and, going off on that. But when I saw breaking, there was nowhere to learn it. So basically, you take from anything you see. Everybody knows that. You take from Kung Fu movies, you take from Fred Astaire, you take from Nicholas Brothers, anybody that had something dynamic or something that looked fresh to the kid's eye, to my eye, I would take it. I guarantee you, if there was a black and white movie from back in the day, like Shirley Temple or something, or the Little Rascals, and they did some sort of dive or something, or Soul Train, they did some dive, the next day, the kids of us that we did dance would be trying it. The next day, we'd all be outside trying it. Okay? So, for me, that's like, damn, I completely lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? Oh, about the sets. Okay.
The sets.
Yeah, so to me, it was so free. It was organic. It was just happened. So to answer this kid's question is, I have no problem with sets. Okay, I have no problem with that. But if I turn off the music and you do the set with the same intensity, the same attack, same gestures, same burns because you rehearsed those burns, and nothing changes to no music, to a fast beat, to a slow beat, to a mysterious beat, to a happy beat, if it looks the same all the damn time, then to me, you ain't really dancing. Okay? And that's where the problem begins. For me, a set like that, you're not really embracing the culture or letting out who you are. You're just doing a muscle memory, computer training, physical training that you did, and it's just something you rehearsed. For me,
right,
you should have your bullets. You should have your sets, certain moves that you can hit. But depending on the music, the tone of that set, the tone of the presentation should change. All depending on the music. Your gestures, your burns, should all depend on that one moment in time of how that beat feels, how the opponent in front of you is acting, how you feel at that moment. To me, that is not a set. Things change. You know what I'm saying? Instantly change.
Right.
And, I have many moves that I go in and out. When you see my just shows, Poe's probably going to do the Superman move and this, that. He's probably going to do, the kick and, all this stuff. But my entrances and my exits to those moves will always be different. Depending on the track that's feeling. My intensity and my attack will be different depending on what music is playing and how I feel that day. So there's nothing wrong with doing sets, but you should be able, if you make a mistake in that set, you should be able to flow right in and out of that, freely moving and readjust and get back into one of your signature moves that you have, and then freely get out of that again, interpreting what the music is telling you to do. You know what I mean? So, I also see it this way. If you get to a jam in a competition and you walk in and circle has already been happening for an hour, and then you got the big guns in the circle, like, everybody's in this one circle. You got Kenny, you got Wiggles, you got, all these cats just killing it in this circle. And they've been going off for a while. They're in their zone. And you just arrive. You're cold. And you walk in. You're not ready to share that energy. You want to go in, but your body's just not ready. You have a little bit of nerves. You need to break the ice a little bit. I would suggest what I do when those circles are like that. I'm like, damn, I don't want to look whack in here, so I'm not going to just try to go off right now because I don't feel that my body's ready. I might just throw in something safe, but with the same energy that the circle has. So I might just go and do a quick corkscrew, spin down, quick baby, get up, boom. Something that I know I can hit instantly and to keep the energy of that circle going. And I'll keep doing that until running those small little signature sets, those little moves here and there, until I finally break the ice, and then I could just go off. You understand? So for me, a set, there's nothing wrong with it for a little while, but if you only depend on that, then you're really not letting yourself loose. You know what I mean? You're really not letting yourself go off. And I think it's important to find the moment to let yourself move freely within those sets and out of those sets, and mix sets up and mix moves, let mistakes happen. Like, you know, like Abstract likes to say, learn to fall, learn to crash. You know, Ivan likes to say, crash to create. You know, it's like, for me, let these things happen, let them come out. I've seen cats do sets, and they definitely don't know how to break. They've learned technical moves, but they still haven't learned how to break yet. And people might be confused with that by me saying that, but other people will understand. You know, you just haven't learned to let go. I do a technique in workshops that I do is I'll ask people to show me a complete set from beginning to end that they have. I've done this in Europe a lot, and they show me, and then I say, okay, show me another one. So they show me 2 sets that looks, actually, when I see them in circles, sometimes they surprise me because they look like they're freestyles. But then when they pass the prelim round and they go in the battle, they end up doing the same set exactly the same way. And I'm like, wow, that was actually a set. That actually looked like a freestyle in the circles. But in my workshop, I have them show me their sets, 2 sets, right? And then I ask another person to show me 2 sets. And then I tell them, okay, I want you to start set 1. When I say freestyle, I want you to begin to freestyle. Then when I say go back to your set, I want you to go to the beginning of set 2. You know, and then I say, when I say freestyle, go back to freestyle. And then when I say go back to your set, you go back to the middle where you left off of set 1. You know, and then I do vice versa. And then I say freestyle, and then go back to your set, and you end it set 2. Since the whole class already saw set 1 and set 2 from this individual, they know what it looks like. And when they begin to freestyle and throw it off, you see their face completely change. And they're like, yo, I didn't know I could combine those 2 like that. And I said, that's the art of freestyling, going back to your arsenal, being able to know what you've trained in, but being able to use it freely and sporadically, you know? And then I'll do the same exercise with music playing. And I'll say, let me see your set without music. I turn the music off. They do it. And then I say, okay. And I put on a popping beat, a real slow popping beat. And I say, now let me see that set to this beat. And then they'll do it. And if they do it the same speed that they practiced it with no music, then they really ain't listening to the notes. You understand what I mean of the song, and they're not changing the tone. So if they're fitting, if they start adjusting, then I'll be like, bet, that was nice. But if they ain't, I'm going to turn off the music in the middle of their set, even before they finish. And they're going to look at me like, what happened? I'm going to say, yo, you ain't listening. You ain't listening to it. You're just doing what you practice and not what it actually feels like. Ivan likes to say it's not about the movement, but the groovement. You know what I mean? And I tell them, don't just show me the move, show me the groove. You know, and I show it to me. Show what this song actually feels like. Tyquan, you comprehend this because you mess around, you know, Flow Phantom comprehends this. There's certain people that comprehend what dancing is, how to adjust. Man, you put on an R&B track to me, I'm going to rock that shit. I'm going to break to it, and people might clown to, but I'm going to make sure that you see and feel the notes of that song. You understand what I mean? And to adjust, but there's a lot of people. Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot of people in the competitive world that haven't been able to adjust yet like that. They're so used to the BPM being so fast and so intense, and it's always a break, always a break, always a break, that they don't know how to slow it down. So a lot of times in my workshops, I try to work the musicality concept with them and really get them to understand the layers of songs and get into the layers in sounds, not your obvious sounds like the horn or the trumpet, the one that we always hear and we always see people rock. I try to get in, you know, I always tell people like how many have loved a song before? Not loved a song, like have heard a song 1,000 times and but don't like it. And then everybody raise their hand in the workshop. Right? And then I say, okay, until one day you really saw somebody rock to it and you heard sounds in that song that you didn't even know existed. until you saw that person rock to it. And then I say, and now when you're at practice or training and that song comes on, you love it. I go, how many people have had that experience from hating the song to loving it? And then they all raise their hand again.
Right.
And then I tell them the difference is that person loves music and transmitted, like we said, beginning of the conversation at the beginning of this whole live stuff. I said they transmitted the light of what existed in that song. They transmitted that light that was within them, and it made you love that song and hip hop. And I tell them, this is why we love hip hop in the first place. I say, because of the transmission and expression of the person, not just the dynamic move that they have. It was the way they transmitted that dynamic move, that certain expression, that certain feeling, that certain hit on that music. And for me, if we take that away out of the equation, then we're missing the point. And people that just do sets that are not able to transmit the tone of the feeling of the song and change immediately the set with a pause in between, a shoulder shrug, a head nod in between when they didn't have it before. If they're not able to do that because they're not listening to the song, then something is wrong, and that's when sets are wrong. You know, but when sets are really listening to the music and you're adding things to it and taking things away, then nothing is wrong with that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's the answer to that brother's question. So I hope that made sense.
Word. Thank you for that answer. The next is who you were inspired by when you got into the game?
Woo! So many, man. There's going to be a lot of crews that people don't know in the breaking world, because it's going to be from poppers to freestyle dancers to breakers, you know what I mean? So in Puerto Rico, I was inspired by La Rubia, El Cano, Menudo. Menudo was a guy from Caguas. Tatino from Comerillo. Alexis, rest in peace, one of my training partners. Casco, Ruben DJ, like his earlier years when they were B-boys before they became MCs and DJs. There's so many, like in California, you had Romeo, all the original floor rockers, all original sidewalk breakers, like Junior Cardone, Robert Laredo, Rome, Escape, Mojo, as I mentioned earlier. He was a papa. He was from a crew called Southside Playboys. He taught me a lot, and his crew. The first crew that I was ever in was Streetwise Strutters. Zoe, Puck, Satch, Kuso, like a lot of names. Ness, not Alien Ness, but Nasty Nesta. You know, I thought his name was Nelson, but it's actually Nesta, and this is why they call him Nasty Ness. He came to Puerto Rico to visit. Dice, Love 67, Rocksteady Crew, New York City Breakers, Incredible Breakers, Dynamic Rockers, any footage that came out on TV, you know, Style Wars, documentary, Wild Style, the movie, Beat Street, That's Incredible, Ripley's Believe It or Not with the Flow Masters, with Pex and Chino, when they came out on that, Ozrock, you know, all the stuff that he came out on, The Pilot. There was a film called The Pilot. I could go on with a lot of stuff throughout the years, you know, like then my crew later on, you know, newer crews, you know, Style Elements, Zulu Kings, everybody in Zulu Kings from past to present. Damn, like the list goes on, man. I mean, all the crews I'm down with now, DSR from, you know, Germany, BVDs with Papa Love, and, you know, Star Chala Rock. I learned from all my teachers, Wiggles, Icy Ice, Fable. I mean, it's like what I said, what Legs says, you know, Legs has taught me, Fable has taught me something, Ness has taught me something, you know, Alien Ness, not Nasty Nesta, because he already taught me something. Like Nasty Nesta taught me my top swipe to suicide, kind of like the up swipe that you do and landing on your back. He taught me that in about 84 or 85. Track 2, since 2001, I met Track 2. He taught me a lot of history and a lot of names and stuff like that of things that I just did that I didn't have names for. And I just would ask him, Fast Break, Dynasty Rockers, Seven Gems, Dynamic Spinners, like the list goes on. Burn One, like, you know, there's so many people, man. Like, the list goes on, you know. If I forget anybody that I'm just mentioning randomly things now, then it's not a mistake from the heart, brother. It's just a mistake from the mind, but not the heart. You know what I mean? And that's the truth. And there's just so many. Stilo, you know, from students that teach you stuff. You know, I learned stuff from Battle Squad, from you know, Maurizio, Freeze from Ghost Crew. You know, just list goes on, man. Actual Force, you know, which I had the honor to be a member of. You know,
Basically, just a student of the game. You know what I mean?
I'm the student of the game, man. It's like what Lex said. I learn from the streets, and the streets learn from me. Bottom line, and that's just the truth.
And that's key right there. Is what makes you great. You know, what makes a b-boy or b-girl great is they're not afraid to say who they're inspired by. Because I feel like a lot of cats are kind of like, well, I shouldn't say that, or you know, like they're like who they're inspired by. Kind of like, well, if I say that, then I feel you know, at the bottom of the totem pole, you know, or what have you, right? And I feel like no,
I think that ego needs to be stripped away.
Exactly.
I think the ego of wanting, like people give me a lot of credit, and I don't want it. Like, I don't want none of that. For me, I'm just like, look, I'm just trying to share what I learned.
Right.
You know, and what I figured out on my own, what I've learned, what I've seen, what I do, how I rock, what I continue to learn. Like, you know, I just want to share the way I'm living and have been living since I got into this game.
Right.
You know, and I think I don't really expect anything. Like, what I notice is if I begin to expect something, I begin to get bitter. I remember. I'll set a little example. I remember when my name started to fluctuate around. First Puerto Rico. When I first came back out, my name started fluctuating around. Then I moved back to Cali, and it started fluctuating around in Cali. People started to hear my name, and people started giving me dap. I remember adding some moves to the foundation, adding some stuff to it. Then I remember my name was rolling all around, and Style Elements was big and whatever. Then I started going in the circles, and if people wouldn't respond to what I was doing, it started to hurt my feelings. It started to be like, yo, they're not responding. Am I doing something wrong? And it started to question my skill. I started to question my skill. But then a kid would come right in after me, right in the circle, and do exactly my shit. Right after I just did it. And the whole circle would scream, oh. And I would be like, I would look at the crowd like in the circle and look at them like, yo, that's my shit. So I would go back in the circle and just destroy it, and get right back up and look and say, that's my shit. But then I started to look bitter, and I started to look aggressive, and started to, instead of wanting the recognition in the wrong way, I was forcing it. And it started to be like, yo, people started patting me on the back like, Poe, you all right? You know, something bothering you? And I'd be like, no, it's all good. And then I would leave home. And then I started to get bitter about things, and it started to take the fun out of hip-hop for me. And I started to lose sight of why I really got down. And it wasn't really, I wanted my respect from my peers, and I wanted respect from people and all that to be in the game. But then I started losing sight. I wanted the wow, and I wanted the screams and all that. And then I started to end up feeling like I needed to do it for these purposes. And it took the fun out of that. And I stopped myself. I left the game for a little bit. Didn't leave the game. I was still hitting practices, still going to jams. But I tapped into myself to remind me the fun that I had just getting down. I had to remember myself. I had to remember that I had 2 moves when I first started, or 1 move, and I did those 1 move or 2 moves to whatever music was playing and wherever I was at. I did it and didn't care if people liked it or not. I went home the happiest kid in the world because I did something that I wanted to do. I had to channel that. I had to channel that energy again, and I had to go to the jams and not pay attention if they liked it or not liked it. I had to do it for me. And that brought fun into it again. And it brought a certain light again and a certain energy again when I got down. And it projected that, and it made people feel it. And then the response was more genuine from people. And I responded to their response more genuinely. I didn't need it. I responded to their response less selfishly.
Right.
You understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. Less selfishly. I started to respond honestly and just appreciating the dap instead of expecting the dap. And if they gave me the dap or not, it wasn't hitting me hard because my ego went away. You understand? And I think that created a sense of awareness in me in a different light. And that's when I started changing. Remember when I told you about 11 or 12 years ago, something like that? I started saying to myself, now or never, just do you.
Right.
You know, I didn't care no longer about my name. I didn't care about it anymore. I didn't care about the judgments anymore so much. I got down. Let me tell you a story about something about Flo Phantom when we hooked up at Frenemies in the Bronx. Okay. It's a beautiful thing that he reminded me of. This was back in 2005 when I went to New York at Frenemies. I think it was 2005, if I'm not mistaken. Crazy Legs flew me in to talk about judging on a panel. Right. And to be part of Frenemies, just to be there. So I went. Phantom was killing the circles, but he kept repeating this one go down. Mm-hmm. A spin down and slam on his back, like a corkscrew real fast, and ending bad, like flat, like a different bad. Really fresh, man. Really fresh. But since I had already been judging jams since 95, or 94, 95, without stopping, I had this thing of you can't repeat runs, you can't do this, you can't do that in competition. So I was taking that into the circle into account. So I was standing next to Phantom in the circle, and he kept running this move. And I was like, yo, Phantom, that's nasty, man. But why you keep running it, man? Mm-hmm. And you know what Phantom did? He looked at me up and down, like I should know because I'm an elder. He looked at me up and down. He goes, because it feels fresh.
Yeah.
And then I looked at him and shook his hand and gave him a hug. And I said, bet. Mm-hmm. And he reminded me of why I get down in the circles anyways. I could do whatever the hell I want and as many times as I want. He looked at me like that, and I just said, thank you. Mm.
I feel you.
I tell my students this. In workshops, I say this story. I said, sometimes you can't get caught up so much in the politics and the competition world and this, that. You just need to be reminded of how fresh something feels.
Yeah, that's truth.
You know what I mean? And
yeah, Phantom, you really think about Phantom has a lot of knowledge, man. And he's one, for me, he got a lot of gems, And I'm going to have Phantom on in the future conversation, so we'll have one and all that. But yo, that's official. I mean, it makes sense, right? Because we so caught up into that box, right? Well, you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do that, or you shouldn't. But it's like, yo, at that moment, at that time, if I feel like doing it, I'm gonna do it.
As many times as I want. And I gotta tell you, it was fresh.
Right.
And that put me in a place like a light just went. it's like my chakras reopened again. You understand what I mean? It put me back into my place when I was a kid. How I used to get down and repeat that one move over and over and over again. And didn't care. He reminded me of that. Even though I've lived that before, but his answer was gold. It was beautiful. You know? And this is what I want to tell people that are watching. There's 25 people watching. That it says here with the eye. I don't know if there's more or not.
There's going to be more. You know, because once we share this, a lot of people are coming, and once I share it to YouTube.
So the message for the people is, you know, don't lose sight of why you first started this in the first place. You know, like whatever insecurity you had that you needed to secure yourself, and you used this gift as a tool to get there, then, you know, never lose light of that. But never step on nobody to get there, you know. Don't lose sight of why the purity and the happiness you have when you get down. Because things will get ugly throughout your journey, or stagnant or stale. It's like seasons. Everything goes up and down, you know. But when you go back to the joy of it, then there's a real beauty and a real peace in it. You know what I'm saying? And a real, it's just fun. It's just, you just end up having a lot of fun.